Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. A little bit different today. Not going to be working on the coupe. We've got some maintenance to do on the daily again. So what we've got is a pretty serious rocker cover leak, and it's been leaking since I bought it. But yeah, I've noticed now in traffic it absolutely stinks, so I've got to change it. I've been putting it off for a little while, but we've got the bits and pieces. So new rocker cover gasket, nice quality Victor Rines, and then whilst we're in there, we may as well change the Vanos seals, etc, etc. The Vanos doesn't make any noise. I don't know if you know, with the Vanos units on these cars, they can tick and basically sound like a box of marbles when they're really bad. This one sounds absolutely fine, but I imagine the seals are probably still pretty tired, so we're just going to replace them, because why wouldn't you if you're in there? So give her some love. She's been an absolute trooper so far. Those of you who followed the channel since we've been in the unit, we've had the car now for I think just over 3 months, something like that. We've done, must be going on 2,000 miles in it. Not an insane amount of mileage, but 2,000 miles. And other than the cam sensors and stuff when I first got it, she's been a peach. So completely bone stock. But if you look down there, you can basically see everything is just caked in oil. All of the rocker cover along here has been leaking. It's got a slight misfire as well, usually after it's been parked, if it's been driven, and you can just feel it, and all the sensors and everything's good. So I'm assuming the spark plug wells are going to be full of oil, because if it's leaking this bad outside, it's probably leaking into the plug wells as well. So now's a good time to get all of this done. Hopefully make it run even better, squeeze out any more MPGs we can get out of it. Right, so car's in the workshop now. My bad, I missed removing this part. I thought the camera was recording. Anyway, this reservoir lives inside here. There's a little hose which usually has some sort of clip on it, so that's tucked in there. That's a return, and then you've got a clip which lives in there. This little guy lives like that. You just squeeze the little tabs together. Be really careful prying it up. You can see someone's already broke this one previously, but luckily the tabs are in good shape. So what that does is that allows us to move the reservoir to one side, and then we can get better access to all of the fixtures and fittings that we need to down here. We probably will have to take off this viscous shroud and fan housing shortly, but first things first, I want to get in and get this rocker cover straight off, and then we can attack the fan. So first things first, you've got these two vanity covers to pop off. Get yourself a trim removal tool like so, and make sure all your bits and pieces, you've got some sort of box to put them all in, because there's going to be loads and loads of fixtures and fittings. So first things first, pop all these off, and then once that's off, you've got 4 10mm bolts. And then that's the first cover off. So just note it slides in and locks in place, so like that. So that's your vanity covers removed. Your next piece to attack would be these coil packs. So what you can do is, on the underside here, you've got the coil pack plume. Lives just there, so you can twist that free. So again, trim removal tool, pop the cap off, you pry it up, and then just wiggle it out. And then this actual loom, there is an earth, maybe a couple of earths. There's one that goes there. I think that's an 8mm from memory. And that's that little guy out, little 8mm. So then this should be on some sort of clip, again trim removal tool. tie that up, and then get the whole thing out of the way. At this point, you can now pop your coil packs out. They are all held in with 10mm bolts. Notice the end two have an earth, so again, you need to pop that out. All looking good shape. Happy with that. You've got the two earth straps to pop off. You've got an 8mm on the top, and you need to get to the 10mm underneath, so no choice, you've got to take these off. So the two 18mm, one at the front down here and one at the back down there. Obviously it's imperative you don't drop these bits down the plug holes because they're going to be tricky to fish out. Got this little tiny breather, we're going to pull that off, so you just got to pinch that together. The hose that goes down to the PCV valve, this is all very brittle. Mine probably could do a replacement, so that will be on the list to do. But yeah, just be super careful, you don't want to bend it, twist it too much because it will break, so just bear that in mind. And then at that point, we're more or less ready to pop this rocker cover off. So we've got a selection of bolts around the outside, all 10mm, and then a selection of them in the middle as well. So we can whip those off. Now, a word of warning before you jump in and do this: every single bolt has a head like this, or like these ones without the thread on it, and they all have a washer and then a rubber piece beneath it. You do not want to drop these down the plug holes because they are the perfect size to get wedged in there. So it is super important that when you're removing the washers, you're really careful. If you drop one of them down there, it can be a bugger to get out, so bear that in mind. If you're tackling this job yourself and you've not done a lot of engine work or not overly confident, I would probably put the coil packs back in there temporarily, just so nothing can fall in the engine itself. Obviously the spark plug is still in there, so nothing's going to fall directly in the engine, but if you get something wedged down there and you've not got the right tools, they can be really tricky to get out. So as a safety precaution, you could put the coils back in the hole temporarily. Now they're safely out of the way, we can lift this up and pull her off. So that is the rocker cover removed. Pretty common to see quite a lot of carbon in there. Probably more so on a car that's not had regular oil changes. I think this one's had pretty good service history, probably could be better, but generally speaking it's been serviced there or thereabouts. But equally it's a 30-year-old engine, so we're going on 25 years old, something like that, so there's going to be a fair amount of crap in there. Sometimes you could clean this out if you want to. I would rather just leave it be, don't disturb it. And then the engine itself, you can see pretty gunky, quite a bit of wear on those cams actually, it's quite surprising. But yeah, not too bad, there's not too much carbon sat in there. There's definitely more than you'd like on a perfectly good engine, but you can see the colour of the oil's lovely and clean. So yeah, it's just an old engine, I guess. You're going to get an element of wear and fatigue and stuff in it, so more than happy with what that looks like. There's not really any need to touch any of this stuff or to clean it up, other than to pull off these bits of spark plug gasket. So there's a little bit resting on that one, a little bit of dropped in there. You don't want to leave any of this in the engine. This one is well and truly welded to the spark plug area. Be very delicate here, won't be breaking anything. There we go. So that's that bit out. But yeah, so pretty happy with that. The engine's pretty clean, generally speaking. Not as good as it could be, but not too bad. So what we've got to figure out now, we want to obviously address this Vanos stuff. Now we've got to take these little covers off. Here and here, and then we can get into it, and then we can lift this whole unit off eventually. In an ideal world, I'd be tempted to try and leave the fan in there because it's a bit tricky to remove, but I think we'll have to get it off so access is a bit better. But anyway, that's the stage one of getting that stripped apart. So that's the rocker cover done. So if you're only doing the rocker cover at this stage, essentially you just clean up, pull this old gasket off, clean up the oil, and refit. But obviously we want to go a bit deeper, so next up we can get the fan shroud out and get the Vanos unit off. Right, so just to get this prepped ready for reinstallation, you can see these old, so here's where I've removed the gasket, and here's the gasket is still there. These have gone back to plastic, they are no longer rubber, so we've got to pull all of these off. Best method for that is you trim tool under there and basically knock it in. Be careful not to damage the actual rocker cover itself, and then pry up. Once that's done, we can then give it a bit of a clean and then put the new gaskets in. There we go. You can see how much of a fight that was just to try and get that out. Ideally we didn't want to break it up because we'd be losing bits everywhere. Yeah, if we can try and get that out in one piece, that's preferable. But that's no longer rubber, that is solid plastic. Listen, so really tricky. So rinse and repeat, get all of those out, and then same with the outer gasket. That just pries up. Hopefully this comes off in one piece. Right, that's now prepped and ready for the new gasket. So she's pretty clean, come out all right. I haven't made it look mint, there's no need, it's a daily driver, I'm not that fussed. But we're going to pop our new gaskets in now. So that's all pretty tidy, prepped. Right, we'll put that to one side, then we'll have a go at this Vanos unit. Right, you joined me about an hour on. This viscous was a fucking bastard to get off. Sometimes people tighten them up when they put them back on. It's on a reverse thread, you don't need to tighten them. But this one probably ain't been off in a long time. Oh, I've just spent the last hour wrestling it. Anyway, no amount of hitting it was moving it. I didn't have my tool here, but even then the tool isn't great and it slips off. So I ended up basically getting a bit of metal, bit of channel there, wedging it against the, oh well, it wasn't against this bit of plastic, and then just sort of drilled some holes in it so it could sit around the water pump. So here's another water pump I've got to hand. I use this as a template. Basically it's like I made like a right angle, you'll see it when it comes out. And yeah, even then, with that wedged hard against the chassis, I had to hit it like 10 or 12 times, something like that, to get it to move. I ended up as well, because you just physically cannot get the spanner in there to move it. You've got this tiny window. So this fan shroud has a little design like that. So I basically just trimmed that off with a blade. I mean, I can't see it's going to do it any long-term harm. I'm not that fussy, it's a daily shit box. So, but yeah, eventually managed to get her spinning. So you can see I've literally just picked up the camera as I've broken it free. So yeah, really annoying how long that's taken. They can sometimes put up a fight, but I've not normally had to take an hour to get it off. Usually, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 hits and it'll break free. But yeah, this one definitely wanted to stay on the car. So let's whip that off, get this shroud up out the way, and we can crack on with the Vanos then. Oh man, that is an absolute arse to get off. Well, that's slightly concerning. That's the bottom of my radiator, which has fallen off. So yeah, I'm sure that's a job for another day. Looks like it wants a new rad. Don't think that should be in the bottom of the under tray. So bring it down. It feels like the bottom of the rad is all still solid for the moment, so we shan't worry about that just now. But yeah, she's obviously disintegrating. Yeah, that's a job for another day. Nice. Car ownership, man. Classic cars. Well, I mean, essentially it's a classic car. It's still a shitbox, but it just never ends. Right, let's get into what we were supposed to be doing, which is the Vanos units. So you've got two little caps there to pop off. They're Allen heads. These are lefty loosey, so normal threads. And then same process on this side by the looks of it. Oh dear. Whoa. Lots of oil at the exhaust side. Then I believe you've got a job for a pair of needle nose pliers. Right, you joined me a little bit later. My GoPro battery decided to die, which is helpful. Anyway, where you left me was just pulling these little covers off the Vanos screws. So to get these off, this top one's easy, just a pair of pliers, but for these ones you need a set of angle pliers to get in there because the radiator's in the way. So that was fun. Right, next up you've got the two bolts in here. They are Torx. You need a Torx bit to undo them, and these are, to undo them you need to go clockwise. And there's the tiny little fella there. So these are only done up, I think, to like 5 Newton meters or 10 Newton meters, some tiny small amount. So when you refit them, obviously don't over tighten them. I mean, look, nothing in them, so don't go too crazy. So what we want to do now is unbolt the actual Vanos housing from the engine. We've got a camshaft sensor down here, so, or two, yeah, I think we've got 2 of them, so let's pull those off. And then once they're free, I think our next thing is to basically remove the actual housing from the car. So I think we'll start up here. We've got the toe, the lifting hook. And then lastly, you've got this banjo fitting for the Vanos oil feed. Again, this is going to be full of oil. So before we whip that off, let's be prepared. And that is a 19. And then final piece of the puzzle is the bolts around the housing of the Vanos unit. So these are back to 10 mils. she should just wiggle free. And there we go, that's our Vanos unit removed in all of its glory. So assuming you don't touch the engine, you don't need any timing tools, any special tools. You can do this with your normal toolkit and you don't need to touch the engine timing. So what we're going to do now is strip this apart, replace the O-rings, give the outside a bit of a tidy up, and then straight back on the car, refit it. Right, so there's our lovely beautiful Vanos unit. So we've got our seal kit in there. Looks like we've got 2 of them, 2 of them, 2 of them, 2 of them, 2 of these small seals. I think I'll take this one off, then go and pour the oil. So I'm guessing we've got a couple of seals in there. One, two. Yeah, that's not going to do a very good job at sealing. So definitely good for needing replacement. So I believe the thing to look for is wear on these walls. So you can kind of see in there, that looks pretty good, that wall. Hang on, let me. So you can kind of see in there, that one looks pretty good. Happy with that. This one, there is some sort of wear mark on there, but I can't feel it, so I'm pretty happy with that to bolt that back up together. So it's just a case of replacing the seals. So obviously we've got the units, you can't muck them up, obviously they're sided, and then we can look at replacing the seals on these. I think someone had said, or I'd read somewhere, that these are best to actually cut rather than trying to pick them out, so I think that's what we'll do. So you've got this outer ring, which is like a hard, I don't know what material it is. You've got the outer ring, and then you've got this softer rubber type ring. I don't think it's rubber, but it's kind of similar to that. Right, and then that's those two. So obviously our new rubber ring will go on first, followed by the harder one. Bit of lube for the new ring. And that's the new lower one in. Right, she's all built up, fresh seals. So there's the old ones. You've got like a softer, like O-ring, and then this harder sort of Teflon, I guess. So I don't know what that is. Anyway, each O-ring has a harder outside piece, so they've all been replaced, nice and fresh. and then also replace little O-rings on the caps. I didn't use the bolts for the kit. I thought these original bolts were probably a safer bet. They're probably fine to reuse. I've reused them before. So I've given it a quick once over. Not made it look too pretty. There's no need. It's a daily driver, but just giving it a quick go over. There's the other side. So she's not perfect, but she's more than presentable. All of this was absolutely caked in mud, so that's good. Anyway, we can get that bolted back on the car now. So let's smash this out, because I want to go home because it's like 6 o'clock. Right, so reassembly, pretty much the reversal of the removal. We're not replacing this gasket here. It's a metal gasket. Don't ever really see them leak, not in my experience. So we're going to reuse that. So we should pretty much be able to just slide this straight on, all being well. Like so. So I was originally planning just to do the rocker cover, which probably should have taken maybe an hour and a half, absolute tops. And it was 1:30, and I'd have been fine, done, ready to go home at dinner time, no problems. Anyway, so me and my wisdom, I thought, you know what, I've got no issues with the Vanos system, but I'll do the seals because I'm in there. So after fighting the water pump for a long time and not having the right type of pliers for this off camera, the actual install time for this is running into multiple hours. So in my infinite wisdom, if I'd have just done the rocker cover and left the Vanos, I'd have been in and out in an hour. But because I've decided to fix what ain't broken, as they say, I've then opened a can of worms and had to go down this massive rabbit hole of chasing my tail. It's now like 6:15 at night, so yeah, joys of cars, eh? Why do we do it to ourselves? Why? One will never know. Right, let's get these. Right, that's our Vanos now bolted back together. Remember, left hand thread, and then you've got these epoxy little covers to go back on. And then once the covers are in, you can get these. Sorry, once the seals are in, we can get these covers back on. Okay, so that's the Vanos unit itself, done, dusted, bolted up. I haven't got my small torque wrench with me, but you get a good feel for this stuff after years of doing it, so happy with that. Next up, we're just going to smash on this Vanos banjo bolt. Don't go crazy tight with this. In theory, you should replace the crush washers, but generally you can reuse them and they don't tend to leak. So that's good. We need a little cable tie down there because the wiring is cable tied from the factory to the Vanos solenoid. Beautiful. Right, so now we can pretty much start prepping to put the rocker cover back on. So we want to just lightly degrease the surface, get any residual oil that's lingering around. mostly where we're going to put the the sealant over the timing cover and the half moons at the back. The only place you really need to put sealant is where the Vanos unit meets the head. So just here, a little blob here, again up the top here, and good practice, me personally, I fill these rear half moons with a bit of sealant. The original gasket didn't have any, but I've always done it when I've put them on, so just a little bit in there should be good. And then yeah, we're pretty much ready to get her on. So our rocker cover up there is ready to go, so we're just going to smash a bit of sealant on. So the sealant we're going to use is Victor Rein's Reinto seal. Great stuff, does the job. Don't use cheap sealant because it'll only fail. So good stuff only, please, ladies and gentlemen. So we're not going to go too crazy. We want a very, very small amount there. Very, very small amount there. Yeah, not too much. And then a bit on the back. I'm going to do that with my finger, so I won't be able to show you that, but you'll get the gist. And then that is now ready for our lovely rocker cover with fresh gasket. And then we can just smash all the bolts in nice and quick, because obviously we want the rhino seal to go off. It goes off pretty quickly. We want it to go off with the rocker cover clamped down. And it's worth having a look at these rubbers, because if the rubbers is gone too hard, you're not going to get good clamping force. So you might need to replace the rubbers. I had a look at these before I ordered the gasket, and the rubbers look fine, so we're going to reuse them. But yeah, for future reference, sometimes people change the rocker cover gasket and it doesn't seal, and the reason is that these little rubbers are too far gone and need replacing, so bear that in mind. Right, we made it. My battery died, so apologies, you haven't seen me put it all together, but you kind of saw the important bit, which was stripping it apart. So she's all done, everything's buttoned up. It's been sat with the sealant's probably had an hour or so. So I'm just going to crank it over first. I've got the ignition coil lead thingy disconnected, so it'll crank a couple of times just to build a bit of oil pressure in the Vanos before it starts, and hopefully we have no funky noises. There's the undertray that came off it, which is disgusting, but that's a problem for another day. So hopefully she should crank a couple of times, build some oil pressure, and then let's chuck the coil plug back on. Right, after a struggle, that's now on. I think we might need to top up the coolant level because we lost a bit, but let's do that first. Right, coolant done, and then hopefully she starts without too much drama. Or not. There we go. Hey. So I've left the under tray off just to check for leaks. Nothing major appearing, so that's a victory. But yeah, He seems happy. Oh man, what a job. Right, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I'll be honest, this is one of the shittest jobs I've had for a while. The E38, just all of this stuff here, there's lots of hoses. It's a lot more complex than the 36s, so yeah, bit of a fucking nightmare to be honest. But anyway, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Make sure you comment below so I know you made it this far. But yeah, thanks for watching and we will see you in a future video. Peace.